Hey, Bills Mafia. We know there's only one topic every day. All Bills, all the time. And now Matt Bovee and Sal Capaccio are going really deep, talking Bills all year long, because it's always game day in Buffalo.
Well, greetings, everyone, from a random hotel in downtown Kansas City as we get ready for the AFC Championship on Sunday between the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs. You can see it's just me today. We'll be joined in a little bit by a guest from Kansas City. Sal is back in Buffalo doing his show, getting ready to get an update from Sean McDermott as far as injuries are concerned. So I do apologize. We're recording this a little bit before that information comes out. I'm going to just kind of assume they'll be without Taylor Rapp this week because we did not see him at practice on Wednesday or Thursday. If that changes, then obviously we will let you know on social media. Everybody else seems to be trending at least in the right direction as far as injuries are concerned. Probably going to be some guys who are listed as questionable on the injury report, but given the stakes of the game, I think it would really take a lot for guys like Matt Milano to not play, Taron Johnson to not play. Christian Benford is a little bit more complicated because of the concussion protocol, but a really good sign that we saw him out at practice on Wednesday and Thursday. So here we are. We've made it right to the end of the week. Like I said, this is Friday, and I'm sure for a lot of you, you have tried to dissect every second and every aspect of this matchup and figure out how these two teams stack up with each other. And I've been doing a lot of that too. And honestly, if you took these two teams and took their names off of them, right? If these were Team A and Team B, the thing that I keep going back to is that I like the matchup for, let's say, Team A is the Bills and Team B is the Chiefs. I like the matchup for the Bills. I like Team A because of what I think they're going to be able to do both offensively and defensively. And I'm more confident in the offense, not a surprise, than I am in the defense. But I think the Bills are going to be able to have some success running the ball and playing the type of game that they want to play against the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense is very good, but they've been a little leaky in stopping the run the last couple weeks. The Bills played a very good run defense in the Broncos and had some success. They played the best run defense in the NFL in Baltimore. I wouldn't say they had success, but they were able to play the game that they wanted to play. I think it's going to be, we're going to run away from Spencer or Chris Jones. We're going to run behind Spencer Brown. If he's got a favorable matchup, we're going to run behind Deion Dawkins. If he's got a favorable matchup, and we're just going to make sure that we're not letting Patrick Mahomes on the field as much as humanly possible. Now, that's easier said than done, but I do think that that's going to be the mindset for the Bills. And the other thing, and this is something I talked about a little bit on the last episode, the more you kind of deep dive into the Chiefs' defense against tight ends, the more you realize, one, the numbers are a bit inflated because of guys like Brock Bowers, who had huge games against them, but it is an area where they are beatable. You can beat their linebackers in the middle of the field with potentially favorable matchups with your tight ends, and same thing as the running backs are concerned. So I think offensively, the Bills will be able to have some success. And one of the other things that I go to is, why is the Chiefs defense so great? Well, Spags is awesome, and they know how to get to the quarterback, and they know how to pressure the quarterback. That's been the one thing the Bills have been able to really not negate, but limit. They have limited Josh Allen getting sacks. They have limited all the pressures that he faces because the Bills' offensive line is so good. And I think that that could turn into a matchup for the Bills that they like. It's like, okay, if you can't get to him and you want to play man, don't turn your back because he's going to run. And if you want to play zone, then they'll just be very content with their zone beaters to Dalton Kincaid and to Khalil Shakir. So I think there's opportunities for success for the Bills. And the other thing that I keep going back to is that the Chiefs' offense has not gone over 30 points this season. I know they've probably got some tricks up their sleeve, and it's at home in the AFC Championship, and they're probably going to have a very dynamic offensive game. But then I keep getting to myself, well, what if they score 30? What if they match their season high in this game? And I think the Bills will be able to outpace them a little bit. Then I go to, well, what if they have a day like they've had and they score 21, 22, 23 points? Well, the Bills better be able to put that up, because if they don't, then that's going to be the issue and the reason why they lose this game. Now, they're going to have success. Travis Kelce is going to be able to have some big plays. But the other thing here is that the run game for Kansas City has not looked the same since Isaiah Pacheco came back. And there's a couple of reasons here. One, he's probably just not fully healthy. Kareem Hunt has actually had a little bit more success lately than Isaiah Pacheco has. And then their offensive line question. So they moved Tooney over to left tackle, and that has seemed to go well as far as the tackle position is concerned. But now their interior run game, just because their interior linemen aren't as stout. So now it's like, okay, you got to get to the edge, and the Bills have some guys who are able to actually limit those types of plays. It's always been kind of the interior defensive line where you have questions about the Bills. And then I just think for the Bills, they need their defensive line to show up. This is a year where you need Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones to be difference makers in the playoffs. And I think they have the potential to do that. Patrick Mahomes is going to buy time. He's going to get off of his spot. He's going to make plays. He's going to extend drives because that's what he is able to do. This offense is elite because of him and Travis Kelce and because Andy Reid is brilliant. But I think the defensive line will be able to create some havoc, and it might put the Chiefs in some third and long situations. Now, the Bills have given those up a lot, but you like their chances if they can do it relatively consistently, especially because on the other side of the ball, I think the Bills offense is going to have some success. So I'll reiterate what I have said to so many people this week. I've said it on TV. I've said it on the podcast. My brain tells me that this is a matchup the Bills can win. My gut tells me it's on the road at Arrowhead Stadium against the Kansas City Chiefs, the team that has dominated you for all of these years. But I keep going back to, if it's not now, when is it? If you can't beat this team, they lost one real regular season game. I understand this is an unbelievable opponent, but I keep going back to, if you can't beat this team, are you ever going to be able to beat this team? And I think that this is a matchup that's going to be really, really close. And actually, to talk about the matchup from the other side of things, we are fortunate to be joined by Jay Binkley from 610 Sports, 96.5 The Fan. Jay, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So what is the vibe in Kansas? I'm here in Kansas City. I'm in a random hotel downtown. We were talking to a bunch of Chiefs fans yesterday.
Welcome. The weather's tropical.
It's colder here than it is in Buffalo, which doesn't make sense.
But it will get warmer. Trust me, it will get warmer. I think kickoff's going to be like 33 degrees or something like that. It's going to be perfect.
That's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm talking to Chiefs fans over the last couple of days, and there's optimism for sure. It seems like, hey, this is the year for the three-peat. We really like the team. Do you get that same sense? Do you feel like it's, hey, this is a game that Chiefs fans are pretty confident they're going to win?
Man, I tell you what, there's a lot of people that are pretty nervous about this game, obviously. And, they don't want to see this run end, or they don't want to see Travis Kelce be in his final game as a Kansas City Chief. And they know how good the opponent is. The tickets are selling like crazy. I think $700 is like the get-in price. I mean, people want to see this. I mean, look, last year there was 50 million people that watched this game on TV. The Bills and Ravens had 42 million, which is incredible. But the Chiefs and Bills last year had 50 million. That shows you this is the game the country wants to see. And yeah, Kansas City Chiefs fans probably a little bit anxious because they don't want to see this little run with this group of guys in.
Do you think that this Chiefs team, I know their record is very good, are they better than they've been, or are they more susceptible than they've been?
I think they're better than they've been. Last year was rough. I mean, I don't know if you remember last year, but it was the same thing, nationally. What's wrong with the Chiefs? This is where it ends. They were 9-6 last year on Christmas. 9-6. This year on Christmas, they clinched home field advantage. So it was much, much different. But yeah, they were 9-6 last year. People thought the dynasty was over. They thought the run was over. And the Chiefs could have gone two ways. That was a tough game. They had the Bengals the following week. They lose to the Raiders. They'll admit it. It's one of the worst games that they've had since Andy Reid was here, that Christmas Day game. And they had to do some self-reflecting. Which direction to go? Do you want to go dynasty or downfall? They chose dynasty, and they ended up beating the Bengals, even though it was a struggle. But they beat the Bengals the following weekend, that weekend after Christmas last year. But this year, much different. I think the Rashee Rice injury has hurt this team. Yeah. I think he was really coming on into his own last year. And, of course, you haven't really seen him except the very beginning of the year. Hollywood Brown, it's nice for the Chiefs to get him back because he didn't play for the Chiefs the entire year. In the last couple of weeks, he's been okay. Not getting the ball. DeAndre Hopkins only had 16 snaps last week in the game. He's got the longest current streak in the NFL for catches. Travis Kelce's number 2. Thankfully, for the Chiefs, they don't keep these records in the postseason. But, a lot of nervous energy, I think, from Chiefs fans.
I want to ask you about the run game because when Pacheco came back, I think at least from the outside, a lot of people were like, okay, that's going to kind of unlock the offense and get them to the next level. But it doesn't feel like that has happened. Is it more of just like, hey, the offensive line in front of them is not fantastic? Is it just Pacheco isn't 100%? Because that has been an area where the Bills have struggled this year, stopping the run. But going into this game, it doesn't necessarily feel like that needs to be that high on the list of priorities.
It should be. Pacheco, listen, I mean, he's a fan favorite. I know the fans love him. And they always talk about what a hard runner he is. And that's kind of the nature he gets around the league, and Kyle
Mhm.
Brandt and angry runs and all that about how hard he runs. He's never won the scepter though, but he talks about how hard he runs. But I've been sitting here for the last couple of years saying, yeah, that's great that he runs hard on first down, on second down, but you got to be able to pick up 3rd and 1. You've got to be able to pick up 4th and 1 because they're not going to do a quarterback sneak, and they haven't done a quarterback sneak since Pat Mahomes dislocated his knee one of his first couple of years in Denver. They just haven't done it. Like, they just will not do the tush push. They won't do it. Whether they have somebody else do it, it's beyond. But Kareem Hunt has been the answer. Kareem Hunt, statistically, you look at the stats and they won't blow you away, but he has that knack on 3rd down. He has
Yeah.
that knack on 4th down. He's got that intangibles. Well, the Chiefs go with Isaiah Pacheco a lot early in the game, and then you start getting towards halftime and they go back to that circle of trust and go right back to Kareem Hunt, and he's the guy that's typically finished the game for the Chiefs.
Mhm.
I feel, a lot of people feel, he gives the Chiefs the best option in the backfield. I think Patrick Mahomes is their best runner, to be honest with you, but I think Kareem Hunt, he's starting to get his legs under him a bit. Of course, he was on the couch earlier this season and didn't
Yeah.
have a team to play for, and they've had to acclimate him kind of in this offense. But for all intents and purposes, I know a lot of people nationally, they want to talk about Pacheco, but it's been Kareem Hunt, the main bell cow for the Chiefs.
Yeah, it feels like every year when the Bills play the Chiefs in the playoffs, there's always a different running back that is a thorn in
Yeah.
their sides, whether it's Jarek McKinnon or Clyde Edwards,
Yeah.
whoever it is. It's like, okay,
It's
here we go
McKinnon.
again. Right? Here we go again. With the Chiefs, suggesting that anybody can stop their offense seems stupid. It's just not going to happen. But if the Bills are going to have some success on defense, does that all start from winning at the line? Like, how is the Chiefs' offensive line? I know that has been a very big talking point over the year.
No, it has been. And to stop the Chiefs' offense, it is going to be up to that line of scrimmage. And I think both sides come into play. Both the Bills and the Chiefs had 39 sacks this year, so defensively. But the Chiefs have been getting to the quarterback like crazy lately. Steve Spagnuolo is dialing everything up. They had 8 sacks against the Texans. And a pretty mobile quarterback in C.J. Stroud, but they got to him 8 times, and George Karlaftis 3 of those. And we know Josh Allen's going to get around the pocket. Steve Spagnuolo knows and respects Josh Allen and what he can do. He's going to get outside the pocket. But the offensive line has been a concern. Only the tackles. Only the tackles. Juwan Taylor has led the NFL in penalties, despite what they say nationally about the Chiefs having the refs in their pocket. He's led the NFL in penalties his past 2 seasons. They bring in Humphreys from Arizona, who had the ACL out last year, a very good left tackle, but they've trusted Joe Thuney. And the interior part of the Chiefs line was the best part. Creed Humphreys, an All-Pro. Trey Smith's a Pro Bowler. Joe Thuney's first-team All-Pro. That was the interior. The guards and center are very strong. But what they've done is they've moved Thuney to the outside to left tackle. And here's where it gets kind of geeky. He's got 32.25-inch arms. And
Yeah.
I'm a big draft guy. The draft, we always talk about tackles and arm length, right?
Yeah.
Prototypical 80 Reed tackles are 34.25 inch. He's got
Mhm.
2 inches arms shorter than what 80 Reed prefers. And 80 Reed was hesitant about it, about putting him out of left tackle. And listen, he's an All-Pro. He's got an NFL record. He's played in the Super Bowl, started the Super Bowl his first 3 years in the NFL, not with the Chiefs, with the New England Patriots before he got here to the Chiefs. But Andy Reid has kind of gone against his conventional wisdom and
Mhm.
gone with Joe Thuney at left tackle. It's extremely difficult moving from guard to tackle. I mean,
Yeah.
if anybody can do it, it's an All-Pro. And All-Pros kind of got that acumen to do it, but he kind of defies what they're typically like in tackle and arm lengths. But he's been getting the job done, and he is an All-Pro, so he's a gamer.
I'm glad you brought up the arm length. That was actually something we were talking about on our show last night at Channel
Yeah.
7 because Greg Rousseau, the Bills pass rusher, is like incredibly long. His nickname is
Mhm.
Groot. He is
Big time.
potentially
Big time.
he is potentially somebody who could be a difference maker for the Bills on the defensive side.
Yeah.
Give me one last question on the offense. Give me a name
But I
that
will
we're
say
not
this, though.
talking.
They limited Myles Garrett. And
Yeah.
Myles Garrett is as good as they get. Yeah, he got the
He's the
pressures
best.
on the quarterback, but really didn't get a lot to Mahomes. But Tooney did a good job on Myles Garrett.
Do you think, give me an X factor on offense, because everybody knows about Patrick Mahomes. They all know about, obviously, Travis Kelce. He has completely burned the Bills in the playoffs in the past. Who is somebody we haven't talked about who could be a big difference maker for the Chiefs offense this week?
Here's the funny thing is the Chiefs, a lot of people don't realize this, they had only had one receiver get a catch last week. It was Xavier Worthy. DeAndre Hopkins, no catches. Hollywood Brown, no catches. Justin Watson, no catches. The only receiver for the Chiefs to get a catch was Xavier Worthy. They relied a lot on the tight ends. Obviously, they left Travis Kelce open and Noah Gray, the other tight end, and they'll throw out of the backfield. I think the X factor, let's just take Mahomes out of the question. Obviously, he is the X factor. Like Mahomes is the X factor. How he plays is how the Chiefs go. I want to say Travis Kelce. If they decide to give a lot of attention to DeAndre Hopkins or Hollywood Brown, both of them only had sitting there around 16 snaps last week. Didn't have a bunch. Expect that to go way up exponentially this week. And it's weird to say that about Kelce being kind of an X factor, but he kind of is. He had 117 yards last week. He shows up a lot in the postseason. Had 97 catches during the regular season, so it's not like he was a slouch during the regular season. But they left him open, and he can do some damage. And when teams concentrate on Worthy and Hollywood Brown and then elite speed, because they have elite speed on the outside, then a DeAndre Hopkins, that guy that catches everything, it could lead Kelce to be open, and he can change a game on his own.
Yeah, well, it just feels like, at least here in Buffalo, well, I know I'm in Kansas City now, but like Bills fans are terrified of the Xavier Worthy massive game this week just because of the storyline and the draft and all of that kind of stuff. So that would be something that I think would keep Bills fans up at night. Defensively.
Well, he could be. I'll be honest with you. Xavier Worthy, don't just look at his numbers as a receiver. Look at the rushing ones, too. He had 3 touchdowns rushing as well. And he's really come along. Like they just like Rasheed Rice last year. They took it slow with him, and then acclimated him, and he was a bigger part of the offense. They've done the same thing with Xavier Worthy, but he's now trusted with Mahomes. Like, he had his problems early on of keeping his feet in bounds where Mahomes wouldn't exactly trust him. But the last couple of weeks, he's really, really, really trusted him. And, hey, 4.21 speed is 4.21 speed.
Yeah, no kidding. For the Bills offense, will they be able to run the ball on the Chiefs? I know the Chiefs started the year with some pretty stout run defense, but it feels like it's been a bit leaky the last couple months.
It has their strength all year. As you know, they were 4 top 5 the whole year round about their rushing defense. They were very good, and they're very good on scoring defense. I think so. I think we can throw that Denver game out the window because nobody played in that game. But yeah, James Cook, I think, can be dangerous to this team. Josh Allen certainly can be. We know what he can do. He's the guy that can do anything with this football team. But yeah, the Chiefs have struggled a bit against the run. However, I think this might be a different style of game because I do think they're going to be cognizant of Josh Allen getting outside the pocket. And whenever you crash so many people near the line of scrimmage, you can kind of stop the run. Because you go out there, the running lanes kind of get stopped when you're so worried about Josh Allen, getting around the corner, and you have, defensive ends and outside linebackers and some wide 9 techniques. Running to the outside can be more difficult because most of the game plan will be about stopping Josh Allen getting to the outside. So that could possibly hurt the running game. I think tight end and Dalton Kincaid that didn't play in that first matchup will be the real key. Tight ends have really hurt the Chiefs this season. They have not had good luck against tight ends. I think they're either the worst or one of the worst teams in the NFL against the tight end.
Yeah, we were talking about that actually before you joined us, about how that could be a potentially favorable matchup for the Bills. Where else could they potentially win on offense? I know Jalen Watson is back. Obviously, we all know about how great Trent McDuffie is. The linebackers are good, but they're a bit, I don't want to say slow, but slower. Like, is there anywhere where you think the Bills should be, attacking the Chiefs defense?
I just think it's what they did last time. When Josh Allen kind of took over the game and sealed it towards the end. Getting out of the pocket, making plays with his legs, turning that 3rd and 4 and making it a first down. The Chiefs have not been great on 3rd and long or 2nd and long the last couple of weeks. They just haven't been. And with the Bills converting first downs, and especially Josh Allen getting outside the pocket. But I look for the tight end play. I look for the tight end play to be dangerous. And the one thing about Buffalo, they remind me of the Chiefs in a lot of ways, and that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are kind of making water in the wine. They don't exactly have the biggest names or talent on offense. Yeah, Kelsey's there, but he's older, 34 years old. But not a lot of household names on these offenses between the Chiefs and the Bills. But what they have is they have coaching and they have the quarterback, which is really all you need.
Jay, what are you thinking? You don't need to give me a prediction, but how you feeling? Obviously, you cover this Chiefs team. You talk about them all day. You think that they can do it? You think that the three-peat is on, or are you a little nervous?
I'm going to say, I'm going to be fair about this. If this game was in Buffalo, I wouldn't feel good about it at all.
Yeah.
The fact that it's in Kansas City and these teams do know each other, and I think the Chiefs feel a certain bit. The Chiefs, they call it Petty Mahomes, right? Petty Mahomes, because here's the doubters and the haters, and they won't say anything, but he'll let you know it on the field. Counting his fingers, where he was drafted or whatever. The Chiefs don't do a lot of smack talking, but they know what you've said. And I remember a couple of years ago when they beat the Bengals in the AFC title game, which, by the way, I don't know where this nonsense came out about the Bengals always beating the Chiefs. That's simply not
It's a
true.
joke.
They did once in the AFC title game because the Chiefs didn't score at the end of the halftime or they would have beat them. But they beat them a couple of years ago in the AFC title game. And the Burrowhead comments. The mayor of Cincinnati had called it Burrowhead. And I know you guys haven't started it and the Bills haven't done it, but the word Allenhead has come out
stupid. I know.
from guys like Mark Schlereth and stuff like that. Trust me, it doesn't matter to anything the fans, but the players, they hear that stuff, they know that stuff, and they'll talk their junk once the game is over. They won't do it before it, but afterwards they'll wait and talk it. But due to the fact this game is at Arrowhead and it is so loud, I think a lot of the offensive line protections and signals could be affected by Buffalo. They were so communicative out in Orchard Park, and there was a lot of communication that went on. Here you can't do that. Yeah. It's going to be so loud, and you can't do the communication factors. Because it's at Arrowhead, because Andy Reid sits 4 games behind Belichick all time for postseason wins. They have some historical stuff to do. And Patrick Mahomes is tied with Joe Montana for the second most quarterback wins all time in the postseason. He's got a lot of incentive. If he beats it, it's only him and Tom Brady. That's it. And Andy Reid becomes 3 within Bill Belichick if they win this game. So I think all these factors, Linda, I think it's going to be extremely close. And again, if this game is in Buffalo, I think the Buffalo Bills might do it. I'll say this, though. I do respect the Bills, and I think a lot of the Chiefs do, too. I think from Steve Spagnuolo, the way he's talking about Josh Allen, I know a lot of times you hear coach speak and players speak, but there's a huge amount of respect, I think, for this Bills team. I know that I'll be rooting for them in the Super Bowl if they get through the Chiefs. No question about that. But it's two great teams, and we're seeing Mahomes and Allen for the 4th time in the postseason, which is second most ever. And it's been a real treat to watch the kind of chess match between McDermott and Andy Reid the last couple of years. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we get lost in it because it's so much, it consumes so much of our day to day. But this is history, and these are 2 of the best going at it, which is so much fun. Jay, tell everyone where they can check you out. Obviously, a lot of Bills fans very interested in the Chiefs side of things the next couple of days. Tell everyone where they can find you.
96.5 The Fan in Kansas City. It's Odyssey Station, like WGGR in Buffalo. And the guys in Rochester, by the way, Gene Battaglia and Mike Danger, the sports bar in Rochester. I go with those guys all the time. And you know what? I started this tradition back when the Bills traded the pick and the Chiefs got Mahomes. And it was that night we started a friendship where they'd send me beer and from Rochester breweries and all that. I've enjoyed those guys coming on the most. But 96.5 The Fan, we were 610 Sports Radio. We still are, but we moved to the FM dial, and it feels so different this past year. So it's been fun. But no, calling us the Evil Empire is fun. I know that our Odyssey station in Portland played the Evil Empire and Darth Vader music, and Rochester did the same. And it's like, man, come on now. Don't hate us. The Patriots, they're the ones that cheated. It's proven they cheated. The Chiefs haven't cheated. But you know what, though? Everybody thinks the Chiefs fans have the refs in the pocket and all that. But I will say this. 31 other owners put their ego aside. They just put it on the table, and they said, you know what? We're going to let this team in the middle of America that can't make us all that much money. We're going to let them win every Super Bowl. And all the 31 other owners said, you know what? That's great. We'll have the Kansas City Chiefs be dominant. It makes so much sense for our league to have a flyover country team win every time. Makes perfect sense.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. And enjoy the game on Sunday.
You too. Have fun here in town. And I would go eat the barbecue, but everybody says that to every player. Hey, have you tried the barbecue yet and all that? But anyway, go have fun.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks for
All
coming
right,
on.
take care.
All right, so we really appreciate Jay for coming on. I am going to be incredibly transparent with you. This is a key to a rental car. I'm going to go set this outside of our room door real quick so my colleague can grab it. I'm going to talk while I'm doing this, and then I'm actually going to answer some questions. Hopefully that didn't take too long. If you're watching on the video side of things, you're in for a treat. All right, so thank you for the patience there. Now, let me just text him that it's outside, and then we will be good to go with questions here. All right, so before Jay was on, I did post on X, Twitter, whatever the heck you call it, just asking for some general questions, and we got a lot of them. Not to be a surprise, because obviously so many people are, excited. Here's a question from Mike. What does the score need to be for you to be in the, quote, feet up, I'm comfortable, it's over, heading into the fourth quarter? Mike, I think that would be the best case scenario for the Bills, obviously, but I don't think there is a lead that you would feel comfortable regardless of how big it was going into the fourth quarter. I'll say this. If it was anything more than 3 scores, I think you'd probably feel really, really good. But until the clock hit 0, I don't think you'd feel that way, because I even remember watching the Lions game earlier in the season. And the minute Amon-Ra St. Brown scored that big touchdown, all of a sudden it kind of became a game. And I would imagine a lot of Bills fans were like, oh no, here we go again. So given the stage, I don't know if there is a number high enough that people would feel comfortable. This is fun. Using another WWE analogy, if the Bills beating KC is Cody finishing the story, would that make Super Bowl Kofi Mania? And how long deprived the franchise? You know what? I don't think so, because that was more of a flash in the pan. If you don't know anything about wrestling, you're going to be like, what the heck are they talking about? I feel like this is just very much like Cody Rhodes, got to finish the story. Whatever that happens in the Super Bowl, if they get there, that's the final boss stuff. But here, Joey's. How are they going to stop Kelsey? You know what I think they need to do? I think they need to play man on Travis Kelsey with either Cole Bishop or Taron Johnson or Matt Milano or whatever they want to do, because if you play zone against Travis Kelsey, he is going to beat you. He just finds the soft spots in the zone. He has the freedom to kind of just go off script and do whatever he wants. So that's what I would try and do. The Bills have started to play a little bit more man defense across the board. I don't think that's going to stop. I think that that's going to be what they try and do. Team A or Team B? Team A scored with 1:03 left in the game to go up 2. Ooh, that's a good question. I think I'd rather be Team B. I think I'd rather be down 2 with a chance to win it with 1 minute and 3 left on the clock. I saw they were talking about WGR this morning, Jeremy White and Joe DiBiase. Would you take a 42-yard kick for Bass to win the game? If he misses, you lose. If he makes, you win. I am on the side of I think he would make it. I think that this is redemption. I think what happened last year, the story would set up that he would be able to make the kick. I also just think math, right? Like, do you think that that's a higher percentage than it would be just going into the game? And I think that that number is high. So I would say Team B. I would not, if I was either defense, trust my unit to hold the other team off of the ball. I was in the stadium for 13 seconds and saw how quickly the Chiefs could go down the field. If the Bills had, or whatever team in this situation has a timeout or 2, I would much rather be that team. Christine, this is a fantastic question. Which would be worse, losing to the Chiefs again or winning this game and losing in the Super Bowl? Ooh, that's tough. Short term, this is a good question. I think the pain from losing in the Super Bowl would be stronger immediately, but I think you would look back on the year much more fondly if the Bills were to get to the Super Bowl. I also think this is a legacy thing. I think for Josh Allen getting to a Super Bowl, win or loss, he's probably already a Hall of Famer, but it might cement him as one just because of how outstanding he has played over the course of his career. You look at the numbers, like most of the quarterbacks that get into the Hall of Fame have at least played in a Super Bowl. So I would say the pain of losing the Super Bowl would be worse immediately, but you would then, I think, a month or two later be able to look back on it and go like, wow, what an incredible season that was. If they lose to the Chiefs, I don't know how many people are going to feel that way. It's going to feel much more like a missed opportunity. And if it's not now, when will you ever be able to get over that team? And I also think it would kind of push to the side for at least a little bit the Allen Mahomes stuff in the playoffs. Like, what if they play again next year? Well, if Allen wins this game and then they lose in the Super Bowl, then the talk that week is not, well, they can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, so they're 0-4 or anything like that. So I would say you would much rather lose in the Super Bowl than lose in the AFC Championship. Shane, what's the meaning of life, buddy? I don't know. That's a great question. Buffalo Bill, what if they win? It's going to be a party. I loved the answer from Spencer Brown this week. He said, somebody asked him if he's even allowed himself to think about them winning. And he said, it's either going to be a really big fun party or I'm going to be by myself drinking a 24-pack. And I think he's like a lot of people who are rooting for the Bills this week. Does our punt returner make the active roster this week? That is from Alex. You know what? I don't think so. I think that they're going to trust Khalil Shakir in a road playoff game to be that guy. And they'll just keep Ty Johnson and Ray Davis back there. I just am guessing they would probably rather have an elevated safety from the practice squad up because of the injuries, or maybe some sort of extra lineman on either side of the ball. They might feel like there's more communication. Christina, give me some hope about Cole Bishop starting the game, please. Christina, it's a concern. If he starts, it's a concern for sure, just because it's obviously for him the biggest stage he's been in. The thing that would scare me the most about Cole Bishop is his potential to get beat over the top. We saw that with Nico Collins earlier in the season against the Texans. We saw it with Bateman last week after Taylor Rapp left the game. That's not all just on the safety, but that would be with like a guy like Xavier Worthy and with a guy like Hollywood Brown. You just don't know if that would be an area where they would start taking shots, and you would think eventually they would hit on one or two of them. So that is where I would be concerned. But I will say, I think Cole Bishop is physical. I think he's athletic. I think he might almost be better with the intermediate stuff, but the fear would be getting beat over the top, which is to, make sense with a really young player. Bigger threat, Kincaid or Shakir? Even though I think that this could be a Dalton Kincaid game, I'm going to go Shakir. That question is from Marcus. I just think they trust him so incredibly much. Brett, why are we so bad on 3rd and long? They're bad on 3rd and long because their defensive line is inconsistent. You need your defensive line to get home or get the quarterback off the spot on 3rd and long, and the Bills do not get that often enough. Against this team, Patrick Mahomes is going to buy time, but there is an offensive line that can, be leaky at times is the word I'll use. So the Bills' offense or defensive line needs to get home. They need Greg Rousseau to have a big game. They need Ed Oliver to have a big game. Obviously, Daquan Jones does so much for them in the middle of the line. Like, they need those guys to step up. And if they don't, that is the thing of the offseason. How can they improve their defensive line? Because it has just been far too inconsistent. Nick, this is a really good question. This will be the last one I answer. Matt, we are similar in age. Is this the biggest game of our lives? Yeah, I think so, Nick. I do. I try not to be. I oftentimes am a little too hyperbolic just by nature, but I do think it would be the biggest game for the Bills. I think this is the best chance they have ever had to go to the Super Bowl in my lifetime. I think in 2020, the 2020 season, 2021, it was actually 4 years ago today. I'm recording this, like I said, on Friday the 24th. 4 years ago today, they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. I remember going into that game thinking the Bills could win, but not thinking the Bills will win. And I remember after the game, I said on the news that night, sometimes you need to learn how to win before you ultimately do. And it was clear that that's what needed to happen for the Bills, but it took longer for them, I think, to learn how to win than we thought, right? They completely changed their identity. They've completely changed the way they play. If they lose this game, I think a lot of the question will be, when are you ever going to be able to do it? Like, is Josh Allen ever going to be able to win one? And that shouldn't fall on Josh Allen because he is the reason why they're in this position. But I think that's going to be a lot of the question. If you can't beat this team, are you ever going to be able to beat this team? So, yeah, I do think, because I think the repercussions are the biggest. I think when they lost in 2020, it was, wow, what a team. They're going to be back there. And then we're 4 years later, and it's the first time that they're back there. Like, you can't let this one slip away. It would be devastating, feels like a little bit too harsh of a word because we're talking about football, but it would be a crushing loss to the fan base and to the Bills. But I just think that this team's good. I really do. I think the Bills team, They absolutely have a chance in this game, and I could see a world like I told you at the beginning of the podcast. If you took the names off of the teams, I think I would like the Bills' chances better than the Chiefs. But it's at Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs at home is a completely different beast. But I think this is a game the Bills could certainly win. So thank you for the questions. Obviously, we're recording this Friday. If you're listening to this over the next couple days, try and enjoy it. I know that's hard, right? But try and enjoy the fact that they're in this position, because who would have thought this 4 months ago? We were going into the season. I thought they were going to be 10-7, and here they are in the AFC Championship, and they're absolutely capable of winning it all. So try and enjoy it. I'm sure that you're going to be very stressed out over the next couple days, understandably so, but that's a good thing, because one, that means you care, and two, it means the Bills are in a position to really do something special. So thank you so much to Mike Robier, our producer. Thank you to Jay Binkley, who joined us from 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City. Obviously, Sal is on his way down to Kansas City with the team on Saturday. I'm already here. Check out our coverage at Channel 7. We will talk to you guys after the next game. Either the season's over or the Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl. What a crazy difference that is, but that's the situation we're in. So thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys in a couple days.